Welcome back to You Can Understand Shakespeare, because the fact of the matter is you can. And you can especially understand A Midsummer Night's Dream, a spectacular comedy. Now, we are in Act 2, Scene 1. We've met the lovers, we've met the royal court, we've met the mechanics and Nick Bottom, but actually, there are still a couple more people we need to meet, though people may be a misnomer because they are the fair folk. Creatures that resemble humans but follow a very different caliber of being. Now, generally, Act 1 in a 5-act structure is where you introduce things. 2 is rising action, 3 is climax, 4 is falling action, and 5 is resolution. Still, we are going to be meeting some people here in Act 2. You can't fault it too much. After all, rules, they're more of guidelines, like the Pirates of the Caribbean say, and Shakespeare is no exception. Sometimes you'll be counting iambic pentameter and go, wait a second, he's got 11 syllables there. That's art. Art is made from rules, but also the intentional breaking of them. So now, it is fitting that especially the individual that we will be meeting today, one Robin Puck, or Robin Goodfellow, that he should be the one to be breaking rules. He is a trickster extraordinaire of Shakespeare and one of the most famous characters. So let's go ahead and meet him. Enter a fairy at one door, and Robin Goodfellow, a puck. Now, a puck is a type of fairy. At Shakespeare's time, there was a whole sort of let's say catalog of fairies, of demons. In fact, King James sort of towards the end of Shakespeare's career in the early 1600s, released an entire catalog on demonology. And so various creatures of the fairies, of fair folks from the Middle Ages and all these legends and such actually had categorization. And so that's where you get words like pucks and sprites, elves, gnomes, brownies, things like this. And so Robin Goodfellow is a puck, meaning an imp or a mischievous sprite. These are various types of fairies. Not all fairies are the Tinkerbell type. So Robin Goodfellow was a puck who would do housework if well treated. That's here in the footnote. Remember, footnotes are so important. So Robin enters and says, "How now, spirit? Whither wander you?" Keep in mind, spirits, fairies, they are a type of spirit, but they're material, but they're magical, but they operate according to different mythology. Essentially, we have entered the woods. And the woods is a place where there is a different order. The lovers and the mechanics, they leave civilization and enter the woods. And throughout Shakespeare's entire canon, whenever individuals enter the woods, they adopt new personalities, new identities. Things are more shifty, and that works so well here to be the domain of the fairies, where even though there is a governance, as we'll see with King Oberon and Queen Titania, those who really sort of run the show would be one Robin Goodfellow, Puck, a shape-shifting, mischievous sprite where things are constantly different as pranks are being pulled and identities shifted. So he asks this fairy, "Whither wander you?" And she responds, "Over hill, over dale." A dale is a geographical landmark. "Through bush, through briar." Through just means through. "Over park, over pale." That's an enclosure, a fence. "Through flood, through fire. I do wander everywhere, swifter than the moon's sphere. And I serve the fairy queen, to do her orbs upon the green." To do her orbs. Orbs would be to sprinkle fairy rings, dark circles of grass. Think of dew in the morning upon the green. That'd be the nature grass. "The cowslips tall her pensioners be." Cowslips are a type of plant. This is another thing that as you're reading Shakespeare, you're like, I don't know what a cowslip is. You start to pick up on these things, like how a cowslip is a type of greenery, or how a pate is a head. He just has language that is just sort of unfamiliar to him. No differently than how we speak today would be unfamiliar to Shakespeare. So with that in mind, the more you read it and the more you have good footnotes, and the more also you hear actors speak it, the more you're going to start going, oh, this becomes easier and easier. It's iterative. You just got to leap in. So "the cowslips tall her pensioners be," the royal bodyguards, "and their gold coats spots you see. Those be ruby fairy favors. In those freckles live their savors." In the ruby freckles of cowslips, there are the scent, the savors. Those are gifts from the fairies. "I must go seek some dewdrops here, and hang a pearl in every cowslip's ear." So it shows how tiny she is, or how small she can be, that she goes around hanging dew on cowslips. Farewell, thou lob of spirits. I'll be gone. A lob is a country bumpkin. She has a pretty low opinion of Robin Goodfellow. Our queen and all her elves come here anon, meaning soon. Robin responds, the king doth keep his revels here tonight. Revels or celebration. So the king and the queen of the fairies are going to be arriving. Take heed the queen come not within his sight. For Oberon is passing fell and wrath because that she, as her attendant, hath a lovely boy stolen from an Indian king. This is giving us a bit of setting the scene. So the queen and her elves are coming here soon. And the king doth, meaning does, keep his revels here tonight. Take heed, be careful, the queen come not within his sight. Because he is passing fell and wrath. Wrath is anger, one of the deadly sins. Fell, think of like demoniac, these fell creatures. They have fallen from grace. He is passing fell and wrath, meaning he is beyond those things. He is mad. Why? Because the queen, as her attendant, hath a lovely boy stolen from an Indian king. She never had so sweet a changeling. In fairy mythology, a changeling is when fairies would steal a child and then return back a fairy that looks like that child as a changeling. People were afraid that their children were replaced by fairies. So she never had so sweet a changeling as this boy that was stolen from an Indian king. And jealous Oberon, that's the king, not the Indian king, the king of the fairies, would have the child, knight of his train, to trace the forest wild. So Oberon wants this boy that Queen Titania has taken from an Indian king. But she, perforce, meaning with force, withholds the loved boy, crowns him with flowers, makes him all her joy. And now they never meet in grove or green, they being Queen Titania or King Oberon. They don't meet anymore. By fountain clear or spangled starlight sheen. But they do square, meaning they quarrel, that all their elves for fear creep into acorn cups and hide them there. So all their elves, all of their attendants are hiding in acorn cups. This is very emblematic of Shakespeare, that fairies are tiny and they hide. Think of the Queen Mab speech that used grasshopper wings and spinners, spiders' legs as spindles on her chariot. They're very tiny. And so all the elves are afraid of this big spat between the king and the queen. Now it's important to notice that there's a type of parallel here. After all, we started with a king and a queen with what is her name? Oh, Hippolyta, of course. Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons, and Theseus, king of Athens, or duke. And they're about to get married, though he wooed her with the sword. And now we have another king and queen quarreling. We also have another pair of lovers. Notice that there are several iterations of lovers, whether that's Hermia and Lysander, Demetrius and Helena, and now Titania and Oberon. We're meant to read all of them off one another, that one person's relationship is made to help us understand another's. So keep an eye on them. We will do that together. The fairy says, either I mistake your shape and making quite, or else you are that shrewd and knavish sprite called Robin Goodfellow. Shape being literally a shape, and making is how he is made. You're that shrewd, meaning mischievous, and knavish, being cowardly sprite. A sprite is a type of fairy called Robin Goodfellow. Are not you he that frights the maidens of the villagery, skim milk, and sometimes labor in the quern, and bootless make the breathless housewife churn? So skimming milk, taking off the good stuff from milk, making the labor in the handmill, making it bootless, and bootless meaning in vain, make the breathless housewife churn as she tries to churn butter from cream. She is breathless. She's out of breath because she is bootless, because he has skimmed the milk. He's pulling little pranks, so his reputation precedes him. And sometime make the drink to bear no barm, meaning that at times that there is no froth on the ale, meaning he's playing all these little tricks on the maidens in the villages. Mislead night wanderers, laughing at their harm. This is another reference to will-o-wisps. These are a type of fairy that would lead people at night off the trail, usually to their harm, and he's laughing at them. He's a trickster. Those that hobgoblin call you, and sweet puck, you do their work, and they shall have good luck. So people that call you hobgoblin or call you sweet puck, you will do them favors. The point being here that Puck is neither good nor bad, but he is good and bad. He exists in this trickster type space where he's going to be operating according to what he finds charming or mischievous or fun, sometimes helping, sometimes hurting. It's to categorize him as a hero or a villain would be too simple. And fairies exist in this sort of ephemeral and transient third space where they defy our common conventions. And that makes sense because we're now here in the woods where strange and magical things happen. We're humans who are so generally locked into their categories, whether that is lovers that cannot be together or spurned lovers. These identities start to shift. Think of As You Like It, where Rosalind becomes Ganymede. It's just a disguise, but she adopts it nonetheless. We're going to see here that here in the woods, many types of categories are shattered, especially at the hands of Robin Goodfellow. She asks, "Are you not he?" Robin says, "Thou speakest aright. I am that merry wanderer of the night." And that's important. He's merry. He is a trickster and a jokester. And again, we do ourselves a big disservice if we immediately think of him as bad. He may cause problems, but it is all in merriment and jest. It's almost as if the evils performed by fairies are sometimes done without them really quite realizing the harm that they make, aside from just being a harmless joke. He says, "I jest to Oberon and make him smile. When I a fat and bean-fed horse beguile, neighing in likeness of a filly foal." I'm a jester. So sometimes he will look like a filly foal, a type of horse, neighing in the likeness, meaning looking like he's a shapeshifter. So he will a bean-fed horse beguile, trick them to make Oberon laugh. And sometimes lurk I and a gossip's bowl. A gossip here being someone who likes to gossip. And so I'm hiding in her bowl in the very likeness of a roasted crab. So this is like a crab apple. So I will turn into a crab apple and hide in her bowl. And when she drinks, against her lips I bob. So this crab apple bobs up, and on her withered dewlap pour the ale. The dewlap being the loose skin on the neck. So I bob up, and it's like, imagine you were drinking something, and all of a sudden something touches your lip. You kind of spit it out. So he likes to pull this prank to amuse King Oberon. The wisest ant telling the saddest tale sometime for 3-foot stool mistaketh me. So a wise ant who's going to be telling a very serious tale will go, I'm going to sit down on a stool, a 3-foot stool. She makes the mistake thinking that it's a stool when actually it's Robin Goodfellow. Then slip I from her bum, down topples she, and Taylor cries and falls into a cough. When she cries for Taylor, it's because she can end up cross-legged on the floor, as tailors do for their work. Or perhaps she falls on her tail, or maybe it requires a tailor to mend a garment that is torn from her fall. For all of these reasons, because she has slipped out, essentially pulling a chair out from underneath an old woman. And she falls into a cough. And then the whole choir hold their hips and laugh, and wax in their mirth, think they're of waxing like the moon. They increase in their mirth and neeze, meaning they sneeze, and swear a merrier hour was never wasted there. So keep that in mind, that he brings merriment, not just to Oberon, but also to the company, perhaps of fairies, perhaps those there. It's a merry type of tricksterish. However, that's how he represents it. Notice that the fairy thinks that he is shrewd and knavish, who does not really think too highly of him. So saying all this, saying that you know who I am, my reputation precedes me, he says, but room, fairy, meaning give room, here comes Oberon. The fairy says, and here my mistress, meaning that Queen Titania is also arriving. She says at last, would that he were gone. Would that it were so that he, the king, were gone. Because now, as we've been told, these two should not be together. They are at war over this Indian boy. And so we will pick up with the meeting of Oberon and Titania next time. Thanks so much for listening. Looking forward to reading more of this great play with you then. Take care.